each other through it. Come on and see, good movement draws good movement.
Welcome to Good Movement Draws Good Movement, the podcast where farmers, ranchers, and rural folks can grow relationally through awareness, understanding, and effective communication. Hey, it's T. I'm your host, and I, along with my guests, will be covering topics related to drawing good movement. Things like self and social awareness, brain science, positive psychology, extending grace, and so much more. We'll share tools that can help you understand why you are the way you are, why others are the way they are, and how you can use that to step out of self-told lies with grace and compassion to draw good movement in conversations, relationships, and life in rural America. Let's go draw good movement. Welcome back to the Good Movement Draws Good Movement podcast. In case you are not aware, I am a giant empath. I think that I've always been naturally very empathetic. I also think that I was not always aware of my empathy. And I say that because looking back, I can very clearly see times where my empathy sort of got me into trouble. And I don't mean like actual trouble. I mean numbing and trying to fix things that weren't mine to fix and trying to do the work that wasn't mine to do. And I wasn't aware, like I say, I wasn't aware of my empathy. I really wasn't, I don't think, aware of it until I dove deeper into my own inner work and healing. And now I am very aware of it and I see it as a superpower. And I've had a couple of conversations with a couple different friends lately. And so this theme of empathy has been coming up and I thought, you know what, let's talk about it on the podcast. So today we are going to talk about empathy. We're going to talk about what it is, what it's not, how it can be a superpower, how it can also be detrimental to you and your well-being, and how we can cultivate empathy in ourselves. But before we get into all of that, if you've been thinking about diving deeper than just this cast pod into your inner work, you can schedule a free 30-minute call with me where we can connect face-to-face via Zoom and talk about what that might look like for you. Visit the link in the show notes and mention CastPod when you schedule so that you can get 10% off one-on-one good movement guidance. Now, empathy, what does that even mean? I'm going to read for you my favorite definition of empathy, which can be found in Webster's dictionary. Empathy, the action of understanding, being aware of, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experience of another. It's that vicariously experiencing piece for me that makes it my favorite definition. But truly, what empathy is being able to feel what others are feeling, to understand what they're thinking, to be aware of what they're experiencing, even if those thoughts, feelings, experiences are vastly different from yours. Now, empathy is not trying to fix something, like fix those thoughts, feelings, experiences for another person. I recently asked on social media if my fellow empaths were also feeling their empathy in overdrive in recent months and weeks. And someone had commented something similar to that, where I think there was some confusion as to what empathy really is. Empathy is not, again, doing the work for someone else or fixing the feeling. It's not that. It's being aware of and being able to feel those things. And like I said, before I really got into my inner work and started doing some healing work, I feel that I was very naturally empathetic, but I would literally take on other people's feelings as my own. So that's where it got me into trouble, because I then was trying to process the feelings for the other people, which you cannot do. I could not do, because they weren't mine. And so that's where, if you don't have that awareness and you're very naturally empathetic, it can sort of get you in a pickle. And as we're talking about this, I want to clarify. I think for some people, empathy is like wired into their DNA. They're innately aware of what others are feeling and thinking and experiencing. Like, it's just natural for them. I think that's kind of where I fall, is in that natural. It comes naturally to me. I don't have to really try hard at it. It was just built into me. And then for others, empathy is more of a learned skill. So it has to be modeled and practiced for some people to really work that empathy muscle and hone that skill. Now, again, I said empathy can get us in trouble if we are not just feeling and vicariously experiencing other people's feelings, but taking them on as our own. I was recently having a conversation with a friend via text about empathy, and it was specifically regarding the recent fires and how we both have deep concerns and a lot of empathy for the people in our community, our friends, our family, etc. And we were talking about how empathy can sometimes be a double-edged sword, because it really is a superpower to be able to be so attuned to what someone else is thinking, feeling, experiencing, that you can then provide them a safe space. You can make them feel safe and seen and heard and held. Like, that is a superpower. But where it turns into a double-edged sword is when we try to carry not only our feelings, but the feelings of others. We can be there for other people, but we get in trouble when we try to carry all the things for all the people. And so that's a question that I brought up. Can we carry the weight? And it was a rhetorical question. Can we carry the weight of what's ours to feel and the weight of what everyone else is feeling? And the answer is we can't. But that does not mean we can't be there for people. It just means that we have to be really intentional about sorting what's actually ours to feel and do. So when we are there and our empathy is working and doing its thing, then we have to be intentional about, is this mine to feel and do, or is this feeling that of someone else's? When we were talking about sorting what was ours to feel and what was not ours, he says, people got to sort their own cows. I just got to hold the herd for them. And that is exactly, like, I love that analogy so much. And I immediately said, I'm going to record a podcast about empathy. And I'm using that because it's so true. Like, when we are empathetic, we can hold that space and hold the herd, so to speak, but we cannot do the processing or the sorting of feelings. And I really, really love that analogy. And where empathy is very beneficial is when we feel felt and seen and heard and held, it makes us feel safe. And when we feel safe, we are stronger and more able to work through the hard things. And so empathy can be so incredibly good. And it also can be detrimental if you are not being intentional with your empathy. Now, I, for one, think that the world could stand to have a little more empathy. And so now we're going to talk about a few ways where you can cultivate empathy if maybe you're someone who it doesn't come natural for, or maybe you are someone like me who it does come natural for, but you're not even aware of it and it's kind of getting you in trouble. This is where we can cultivate empathy that's actually beneficial for the people around us and for ourselves. One of the ways that we can cultivate empathy is by exposing ourselves to different things and people and experiences. Like if you find yourself without a lot of variety in your life, maybe empathy is hard because you don't have a lot of experiences different than maybe what you grew up in or what's happening in your community or your family. So by exposing yourself to different things and people and experiences, you have the opportunity to learn, and that will help your empathy grow. If you don't have the opportunity to like go different places and meet different people and have these different experiences, pick up some books. I think I've mentioned on the podcast before that I'm very intentional about reading things that I know nothing about or I maybe don't agree with or that is from a very different perspective than my own. So if you don't have the opportunity to travel or go meet the people or go do the things, find some books. Read some books that add that variety to your life. This next one, it not only cultivates empathy within us, it also is a good way for us to be intentional about sorting what's ours to feel and what's not. And that is asking honest questions. And if you've listened to this podcast for any amount of time, I think that you know that honest questions are so important and I will never stop talking about them. But asking honest questions. So if you are in a conversation with someone and they say something and you're like, get curious, ask an honest question. Again, honest questions are ones we don't know the answer to. They can be yes or no, but when they're open-ended and they provide the person to share with us more information about their experience, which gives us more knowledge. And when we have that, empathy comes easier. Now, how honest questions can benefit us in, not getting ourselves into trouble and sorting what's ours to feel and what's not ours to feel is asking that honest question. What is mine to feel? And being really intentional about moving what's not ours out and processing what is ours. Or you can ask, what's mine to feel here? Or you can ask, this is one that I ask myself, do you need some time alone in the quiet to sort? Because that's how I sort. I need to have space away because I can't not feel what other people are feeling, if that makes sense. So honest questions really help me there and getting some space to sort what's not mine. And the last one is second guess yourself. I know. We should go with our gut and listen to our bodies and all of that. And also, in the case of empathy, we should second guess ourselves because our human brains are very good at filling in the blanks and they don't like mystery. So not only are they good at filling in the blanks with really plausible stories, it's like we do that automatically. We fill in the blanks automatically. The problem is that even if the stories that we make up in our minds and the preconceived notions we come to are very plausible and make all the sense in the world, it doesn't mean they're accurate. So second guess yourself. When you find yourself automatically jumping to a conclusion about someone, a way that you can cultivate more empathy and be more empathetic is to second guess yourself. What else could be true? What if I'm wrong? That's a tough one, but a very valuable one. What else could be true? What if I'm wrong? And then revert back to honest questions to help get some accurate information to fill in those blanks with the story that you're making up in your mind. So again, ways to cultivate empathy: expose yourself to different things, people, and experiences, ask honest questions, and second guess yourself. Again, I am someone who believes that we could stand to have more empathy in this world because when we feel seen and heard and held, there's more safety. We feel safer. And when we feel safer, there's less reactivity, less reacting, more responding. We can actually understand each other on a deeper level and our connections grow, and all kinds of good movement can happen from a little more empathy. So with that, until next time, draw good movement. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm so grateful for you. If you found value in this episode, I'd love for you to share with others who might also benefit from tuning in. Share by word of mouth, send it in a text, take a screenshot and post it on social media, or share however you prefer. And if you haven't already, hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Until next time, draw good movement.